Welcome back to another episode of With Sonar. I'm your host, Luke Velasquez, and we are so excited that you are here with us today. It's the week of Christmas. We are nearly at the end of the year. And of course, Kyle, thank you so much for joining me, taking time out of your busy week. You're about to start vacation right after this.
I'm so excited!
Yeah.
No, it's Christmas is here.
It's here. What'd you get me?
A couple days away.
What'd you get me?
I got you a show called With Sonar that you're still on. Yeah. It is.
Really?
This is, I think, episode 30.
I thought I've been wanting like some new shoes.
Yeah?
Some Chelsea's.
Some Chelsea boots. Inside joke here. Luke is a tight jean wearing, Chelsea boot wearing.
You don't need to throw me. The reason why we have this desk here is so they can't see
diamond ring wearing. If you guys caught the Ric Flair drip there, it was there. No, I complimented Luke on his Chelsea boots.
Yeah, which are right here. I'm going to throw these up on the screen. I understand this isn't very professional, but you know, it's the Christmas special here, so we're going to be a little more informal. So I wear these shoes. All right, now you can continue.
30th and last show that we've ever had.
Yeah, this is it. We're done here. We're getting kicked off here.
So I complimented. I was like, those are some nice Chelsea boots. He's like, I'm not wearing girl boots.
I don't think I said it exactly like that.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's getting
that's
worse
what
and
they're
worse.
called, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. But today is extremely special. I'm super excited about today because today we are going to do a little reminiscing on...
Reminiscing.
I'm not known for how I say words, but we're going to look back at 2020. I think it was a very eventful year, and what we really wanted to showcase today was, you know, how we got to where we are today. What are we looking at? What happened? You know, COVID, virtual events. Kyle and Luke got their own show. How that happened, I have no idea.
Yep.
And then, you know,
So one good thing about 2020?
You can do anything.
Yeah.
Kids, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Although gravity still exists.
Correct. But no. So let's start off. Let's January. Let's look back to January. What was your perspective of, you know, what you were planning for 2020?
Yeah. Wow. Just load that one on me real quick. See, it's
Bang,
so
bang.
difficult. It's so difficult because when we think about 2020, there's so many things that have happened. Of course, obviously, there's a lot that happened with Sonar.
Yep.
Hey,
whoa!
Come on, which we will get to. We will get to all that. But no, I mean, when you think about it, it's, you know, you're excited. It's a new year, like anything else, especially in the freight world, right? Since we're all exposed to the freight world, I think about things a lot in those terms, since that affects our work, our day-to-day lives. And coming off of 2019 was a fairly soft year in the freight world.
Yep.
Right. That 2019 was also when I joined FreightWaves about halfway through the year. Mm-hmm. I left my brokerage to come to FreightWaves, so I had some experience. I had a little bit of exposure to the softness of 2019 as a freight broker, and then obviously as you know, communicating with folks on Sonar. So I was really excited about 2020 in the sense where, like, we thought there was going to be some volatility in the year, and I was excited about that. We didn't know exactly what that meant, and then of course COVID happened, and that's just like, I mean, yeah, volatility just to the extreme. Right. But no, I think I was really excited to be able to, because there was a huge roadmap for Sonar.
Yep.
Huge roadmap for Sonar. There were so many updates.
It's huge,
and we were so excited to be able to see those come to action, because my first half of the year that I was here, we talked about all the potential updates that were coming, and we were so excited for them, but we didn't see them. And then eventually they finally launched in 2020. And I mean, dare I say, 2020 has been nothing but good to Sonar. No, it's probably the one thing that has been good for it.
That's exactly right. And to that point, I mean, I came in end of July of 2019, and it was a scary.
I was mid-June for reference, so I'm his senior. Yeah, so I just want to make sure everybody knows that.
Yep, everyone realizes he is a senior, and he has 2 kids, and he's really not that much older, younger than me, actually.
I think I actually am younger, by like a month or something.
Looks 5 years older than me.
Yeah.
But we'll leave that
Kids
there.
will do that to you.
But
can't even deny that one.
Nope. And so, but we were just like your point. It was a super soft 2019. We were also starting to prepare for 2020, and what we thought was going to be a continuation of softness. We didn't really see rates moving that much. Yeah. And
actually, a little bit of a slipping actually in January compared to where they had finished off the year.
No, that's exactly right. And just because with consistency, with shippers always trying to lower rates,
Yep.
competition naturally occurs, and so there was no real big volatility that we saw outside of hurricanes or a couple of those incidences,
Right.
but not a ton of times where we just saw insane tightness occur. And
Right.
then 2020, how you doing?
Yeah.
And,
What's up, March?
Yeah, right?
Hey, March, how you doing?
Exactly. I remember we were...
The Ides of March.
Me and you were sitting over there.
We did used to sit over there.
And we were just talking about Sonar stocks, and then I remember getting sent home that day and starting to realize that this is real.
Yeah.
And then we got sent home.
Yeah, we did.
Locked down for a couple weeks.
It turned into a couple weeks, turned into a couple months, and now it's just like, okay, bye.
Exactly.
Don't come back. Except for with Sonar.
We had a couch. For all of those people who've really watched us, we were on a sofa. We had a desk that you can see right to Luke's legs.
Yeah, see my tight pants.
and that was an insane time. But I think going into 2020, I mean, the pandemic really opened us up for a lot of creativity. And we transitioned. Everyone loved our FreightWaves live events, and we had to transition that to be the first at-home. We're really the first people to do an at-home conference.
Right.
Definitely in the supply chain space, but I don't know about the entire United States.
Right.
And that was what, May, I believe?
Yeah, that was in May, and I think, and we actually got a ton of really good feedback from that. That was actually really exciting because I think, like we were real, like everybody said, wow, you guys knocked it out of the park. It was super professional. Like you look like you do this all the time, but like we were really nervous putting that on. And I say we, but a lot of the folks behind the scenes here that you don't see all the time, that are doing all the technicals and they're working through all the logistics of putting on an event like this. I mean, they were working a ton to put that together. So there were a lot of nerves. We didn't know how it was going to go. We didn't know how it was going to be perceived, but it ended up working out really, really well. And I think even when I do think in-person events are going to come back.
Oh yeah.
But I do think virtual events are here to stay as well. I think they'll coexist together.
Yeah, and so Craig Fuller, our CEO, brought this up on the last week's North American Supply Chain Summit, and what he brought up, it makes it extremely easy for us to go after new concepts.
Yeah.
At-home events are really great for SpaceWaves, North American Trade Summit, all these different areas that we can't really do a $5 million show and have a huge exhibition hall to have. We can do that all virtual and keep it pretty low cost.
Right.
So that opened up just so many different topics that we can now showcase even more.
Absolutely. No, that's a really, really good point. Something that's exciting too, because a lot of what we've seen in those events, around those events, is when we launch new updates to Sonar.
Yep.
And we've seen a couple of those, or a handful of some really impactful ones happen this year.
Yep.
I think one of the big ones that just came out of the gate hard was lane signal.
Yep.
And that one, which is, that's still a crowd favorite today. Brokers love it, carriers love it.
I mean, if you remember Sonar, Sonar is so unique that the clientele that doesn't buy is always we're just not ready.
Yeah.
And so as this product develops, and people who've gone through a sales process multiple times has really, our guy Brad Ganane, the tall 6'7" guy that runs the sales team, he was here back when they were selling PowerPoint slides of Sonar, and that was just tender data. And now we're just like, okay, yeah, the relevancy in the charts. Now we have something where we can show you a tactical view of what you need to know to make a better decision.
Right. It's one thing to have all the data, which we do, and it's another to be able to take that and repackage it in a way that's very simple and digestible for your everyday broker. Right? Myself, before, like the tender data, just looking at it raw would have been too much for me as a broker. But the way it is right now, it's so simple and so easy. Like if I'm moving spot freight, I want nothing else but this. Let's go just to flash up. This was the first major update that came out in 2020 for Sonar, and this is powered by $250 billion annually of real-time freight tenders. So it's real-time. That's why folks love it. They're getting the real-time aspect of it. Like I can type in any lane. LA is hot right now, so we'll take a look there, right? So I can type in any lane. I can type in the zip code. I used to move a lot of freight up to Seattle too, so we'll take a look at that. In this case, we're looking at dry van freight, and it's gonna. There's a lot of stuff on the screen. If I want to look at nothing else other than what's the rate carriers are expecting to get paid today, I can just come down here, scroll to the bottom, It includes my fuel for me. I've got my all-in rate. So today I could expect to pay a truck somewhere around $46.50 plus or minus.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you the rate, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I hate the rate. Rate is great.
Right.
You know, I love pie, but I want to know how we make it.
The rate is the end result, and it's very important. But to your point, it's kind of like everybody, cake, right? Everybody wants to have a slice of cake, unless you don't like cake, in which case you're not a part of this. You know, make
Cake's
your
easy.
Make your own analogy, whether you want steak or whatever it is. All right, but we're going to talk cake for a second. So, if you like a slice of cake, that's great. But if you want to continuously have a slice of cake, you have to know how to make a cake.
Right.
Right? Or you can buy it, in which case you're going to spend all your money doing that. But for sake of example, you have to know how to make it. So it's nice to have the cake. That's the finished product. That's what a rate is.
Right.
But we have to know the ingredients behind it, and you also get that here. It tells us why are carriers today expecting the rate to be $46.50? And I should preface by saying, if we come here and you are paying more as a broker or getting more as a carrier than $46.50, this episode is being pre-recorded, so don't hold us to that. But anyways, the point is that you have all of this information here, this textual information to tell me what's affecting the rate, volume, which direction are volumes going, and how is that impacting rates? Which direction are tender rejects going, and how is that impacting rates?
It's just not, I mean, we brought this up a million times. It's not enough anymore to say, well, the load to truck ratio is not in my favor. I called a bunch of trucks on a load board, and no one wants the rate that we got. I'm going to have to ask for more money. No, and brokers aren't going to do that. No. And so if you want, you're never going to give back the freight. So if you want to be a logistics professional, and that's probably one of the biggest use cases that we found this year that we just stumbled upon, validation.
Yeah.
You're competing against the next person. Well, why is your rate higher than theirs? What do you see that your neighbor doesn't? Because I'm just going to give it to him if a rate's a rate. And so that's where it comes into, it's a solution that you can now provide. Now you're a broker who can not say a broker, now you're a consultant. It's like, hey, there's a ton of demand out in this market that's causing you to compete with other assets, and that's why. Look at this big spike, look at this chart. Look at something I can present to you. And that's probably the biggest thing, and great marketing for us, but that these brokers are sending to their shippers to validate rate increases. Yep. I think 2020 is going to mark the year for the greatest number of rate increases. We'll see what 2021 has for the shippers that busted their budget, but it's something that is now used to have that line of communication.
Yeah. No, it's spot on. Spot on. I mean, you said it. It's not enough to have a rate anymore. Everybody has a rate. Everybody does. Anybody can get a truck. That's not hard.
I have access to 5,000 carriers.
Right, great.
Cool.
So does everybody. There's nothing special about that. If you're on one of the large public load boards, everybody has access to that.
Yeah.
Right.
And the load boards have their use.
They do have their use.
They have their use, and they're needed. They're always going to be a player in the industry.
Oh yeah.
And they've been a player for up until now.
And they're not going anywhere.
No.
They're going to be around. They're going to continue to serve a very valuable purpose. But a load board that's not intelligence.
Right.
Right. That's an operation.
And if you're going to your customers and asking for rate increases or validating why you need more business, show me the data.
Right.
You can't just have anecdotal evidence to say, like, I need this because I'm great. Cool, against who?
Yep.
And so that's where I think this is just really, this platform, that Lane Signal, just gives you that technical ability to be in the moment, what's this right now, but also be able to talk. Well, look. Got bottom left-hand corner. We have the volumes. We have rejections are increasing or rejections are decreasing. How's the head haul index? Gives you all of that from a single place. You don't have to worry about all of your brokers just getting lost in the sauce anymore.
100%. No, that's spot on. I love it. Well, let's go ahead. Let's jump into another update that came out as well, because there's a lot of good stuff here. Obviously, there's a ton of updates. So Lane Signal, definitely a crowd pleaser.
Boom.
People loved it, especially when it came to spot freight. Another one that was really exciting was we launched Reefer Rates as well. And not only just Reefer Rates, but Reefer Predictive Rates. And that was really exciting for a couple of reasons. We were the first ones to the market that came up with a scalable version of predictive van rates. But then we actually came up with Reefer Predictive Rates, which a lot of people were scared to bring to the market, I think, before. And we pushed that envelope because Reefer is so volatile. But we've been able to do that. and we've been able to work with our customers. And that's really exciting too.
And that, I mean, we always get kind of stuck talking about van. So we're always talking about van. Van really moves the market. But the same tender data that we get for van, we get for reefer.
Yep.
It's one and the same. And so to be able to use this just like you would on a van load, to be able to see, okay, well, I think reefer actually has more volatility because of the limitations in actual supply of trucks. There's just not that many. And so when you have produce season coming in, winter, it's potentially going to be snowing here in like a couple weeks. And so this is where this gives you that ability to look at it. And then the predictive rate really just combines all that information. I mean, we're not just going and asking our customer base, hey, what's the average rate on all your customers? We're actually doing some science behind it. We're actually putting, oddly enough, some thought into the rate. And so this is looking at asset utilization. It's looking at what the actual operational cost is to have an asset on a lane, and then take that proprietary data that FreightWaves is the only one, spoiler alert, to have, and we dissect that into a forecast. No one else is forecasting. I'm going to tell you what the rates were a couple weeks ago. Great. That didn't help me at all. I already know that.
But no, absolutely. You're spot on there, and that's really important.
I'm off my tangent. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, you done yet?
I was on the high horse. I was on the high horse. Sorry, but...
Yeah. He gets excited, okay? Woo! He's ready to go on vacation. He's ready to run. He's ready to just have fun, right? But we've got to work. The people need to know, Kyle, okay?
The people need to know. I still got this Ric Flair energy inside me, so I'm just jacked up. So, but as we progress through this, so we talked about, we got lane signal. We had FreightWaves live at home.
Yep.
First at-home event, which was still 3 days. Huge. I remember having my curved monitor, I had my laptop, and then I had my big screen TV, all with FreightWaves on.
Oh, is that all?
That's it. Well, it's actually not enough if you're talking to George. George had...
He's got like 8 monitors.
I swear he just stole his kids' iPads.
His office is like Wall Street. Like if you see in the movies where they got like 15 different monitors with like, taking over the world and all the code and everything. That's basically what George's office looks like.
No, straight up.
No, so there's some big things. So lane signal, obviously, it's like the ideal spot market tool. FreightWaves from home,
yep.
right, going virtual. Reefer predictive rates.
Yep.
And another big one that happened, this one, while this isn't necessarily a major...
Well, before you get to the big one, July 24th.
I don't think you know what I was going to say.
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I wanted to make sure I got this in. July 24th, 2020, FreightWaves got $37 million worth of investment.
Boom!
In the middle of a pandemic where Wall Street money, investment money was frozen. No one was investing. And what did it just goes to show that
I was very excited.
What we were doing is making a difference.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you're listening to this, like, maybe I just got really into the book I'm reading, but starting with why all we're trying to do is just spread awareness.
I'm glad you interrupted me because that was way cooler than what I was going to say. So,
spoiler alert. I'm full of spoiler alerts here. What Kyle said was more important than Luke. So.
Yeah. I mean, hey, history is made. But that was a really exciting time as a company. It was exciting because our investors felt that they were like, listen, we want you to grow. We want you to grow even faster. So, take the money, take the investment, improve the product. And we've been able to improve the product at a much faster rate with that. We've been able to grow at a faster rate, which is really, really exciting. Something that I was going to slip in right before this, and now it's going to look even lamer when I say this after that little interjection. But there was something that's really exciting with our forecast actually got better during COVID-19 and the volatility in the freight market. And part of the reason was, since the data is so real time, we actually update those forecasts constantly.
Yep.
And we actually made a change to the algorithm to actually better predict the rates and account for that volatility.
It's a self-learning algorithm.
So we didn't forecast COVID coming. If we did, we probably wouldn't be here right now. But what we did do is we were able to make that adjustment and pivot when it happened, so the forecast changed, and we actually managed to get ourselves to up to 3 months out is nearly a 95% accuracy rate, which is absolutely astounding. No thanks to myself, of course.
Yeah, no.
That would go to the PhDs and the data science guys in the back.
Yeah, those Harvard grads, they need to get the kudos.
Yeah, for real.
And no, you're exactly right. When you're in a market condition where it's just either constantly going up or constantly going down, looking at invoice data from a couple weeks ago isn't going to help, because by the time tomorrow comes, it's continuing to go down. And that's what we noticed going into summertime, was that rates were just, your favorite word, parabolic.
Come on.
And they were just going up and to the right. And so that being what it is, looking at market conditions that are near time, so updated as of yesterday, was more significant than what was being reported from an invoice.
Absolutely. No, you're 100% correct. And it's very, very exciting. Man, stop letting all this go to your head, okay? I'm trying to give you a compliment here, and then you got to go ahead. Oh, jeez. All right, come on. Like, seriously here, folks, leave some comments below on things Kyle could work on and improve on, okay? We got to bring him back down a little bit here.
Let me get some claps for Ric Flair.
No claps. None whatsoever. maybe you know, like self-improvement.
Yes.
Maybe send him a link to like a self-improvement course, something like that.
Here's a big old slice of humble pie, Kyle. Here's just, it's nice and warm.
Yeah.
So coming to you live. But no, yeah, that's spot on. And so after that brings us up to summer.
Yeah.
So after summer, I'll let you get this next one.
Okay.
Pick your next one.
After summer, and we actually started to dive into some things outside of trucking, right? We launched a couple of updates that were very exciting, a little bit more bigger picture, but more geared towards the ocean side. And the reason why we went with that route is because so much of the transportation market is influenced by the ocean side of things. We actually talked about that in our episode last week, right? 70% of all truckload freight is influenced or supplied by the ocean market. So the reason for that is we decided to launch a couple of data sets to actually show forecasts in ocean volume, as well as you can actually see ocean imports by consignee. And while we say that, the top 100 consignees in the United States, Amazon's, Anheuser-Busch, Walmart, right? Those companies. So you can see what they're importing and how they're affecting the market, what ports they're importing to, and then of course you can have the forecast on top of that. It's a fantastic leading indicator to know where the market is not only going to go, but to help from a sales side too. If I see what Amazon's importing and I see that like capacity is about to tighten, I can go ahead and call them up and be like, hey, let's have a conversation. I can see all this here. I can provide help here.
Exactly. I mean, it's just being able to repackage the information in a more attainable way, and I think FreightWaves does that better than anyone in really the world that I've seen. Is taking this information, let the smart people do what the smart people do, and then get Luke and Kyle on WithSONAR.
Come on.
Come on.
Let's go.
What else? You can't have a recipe for success unless you have that. But you know,
Kyle and Luke, right?
Kyle and Luke, yes.
Yeah.
And so just want to make sure and Luke is associated with that.
Yeah, I'm an afterthought, but I'm there. I am a thought. Yeah. I made the thought.
That's exactly right. And so it's extremely interesting to have that be something so malleable. So
yeah, I mean, you're absolutely correct, and it all boils down to like the reason why the folks can do what they do, right? Our PhDs and our data science team, right? It's not because they're smarter than all the other PhDs in the world. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't know. Okay, well they are, right? But it's because they have the proper tools to work with, right? They have the proper data, right? Like if I'm a PhD and I write algorithms to forecast rates, and all I have is like $1 million in freight spend, and I have to forecast rates for the nation, it's not gonna work, right? But if I have like half of like the freight spend in the country, okay, yeah, I can do that, and I can do that really well.
No, exactly.
Right? So it's about providing the right tools for them.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I remember this used to be a part of my sales pitch, because I think people forget that Kyle and Luke are salesmen. Yeah. Well, I think they could smell it a mile away.
I don't think anybody forgets that.
Yeah, I think it's quite obvious.
Yeah.
But like, the next thing I kind of want to get into before we get into some of the other apps is like how sales had changed in 2020 as well. I mean, being on the front line, something that I remember I used to say like, oh, well, FreightWaves is literally the product child or the baby of getting a market expert in transportation and a PhD of data science together. And Craig was able to have that thought, and we were going to make something beautiful. Didn't really know what it was going to be, but we knew it was going to be something large.
Well, it's so true. Our market experts are folks that have been in the industry 15, 20, 30 years. they're the ones with the tribal knowledge. We have them in every aspect: truckload, LTL, reefer, ocean, intermodal, everything, right? They're the ones that have been in that industry, making those decisions, the operational decisions, right? They didn't have the data. So then you take the data team, they bring all the data together, and you put those two together, and it's just a win-win. You can't get any better than that, right?
And so, what did you do? What did you, from a sales perspective, and try to make this as like not FreightWaves as possible, which is tough. I struggle with it, but
struggle with a lot of things. Sorry, that was my attempt to bring it back down a little bit.
100% right. He is not wrong, and so struggle with mustaches. We found that out a month ago.
That's okay. We won't fault you for it. You tried at least.
At least we tried. Tom was happy with it.
That's true. Tom gave you some kudos.
He did.
He was gracious. I mean, that man. I mean, like, he's got like the Viking going on pretty well.
Good for him.
Yeah.
But what did you notice from a sales perspective that was working extremely well in 2019 that you then had to adapt to in 2020 that now you're like, oh man, why wasn't I doing this the whole time? Tough question.
2019 FreightWaves employee or 2019 broker employee?
FreightWaves employee.
Okay.
So SaaS employee.
Yeah. So what was I doing well in 2019 that did not work?
What did you see that was working in 2019 that now you have to kind of adjust and it's now working?
Well, I'd say something that comes to mind immediately is, and this is interesting because we a lot of Sonar prices are higher now than they were in 2019, mainly because we have a lot more offerings now than we did then. But I actually get, but what's interesting is like in 2019, there were, well, not interesting, it's obvious, in 2019 there were a lot less price objections, right? Not just because of the price reasons, but also because the market was stable. People knew what they could budget for, right? Everything, like they knew what to expect. There was less unknown coming. So I didn't have to deal with price objections hardly. It was really just, hey, here's the product and here's what it can do for you. Fantastic, we have budget, we know what we're gonna make next month.
Right.
Great, move on. This year, it's way different. While the data is actually more powerful and more valuable to them this year, they can save more money because of the volatility aspect of it. Every single one of our customers tells us that this year they've gotten more money back on their investment in Sonar than any other year, and that's even with having to, paying more and investing more in the additional features that we have. But it's a harder objection around price simply because of the unknown, right? Our customers don't know exactly what they're going to make next month. There is that unknown. So that's a challenge. Am I going to be profitable? So they want the data and they want it very, very badly. Right? I've never had somebody say, I don't want this because it's not valuable. It's always because I want this, I need this. If this was last year, I would have already said yes. So that's been something that we've had to pivot around and find ways to be creative to get folks to the platform. Yeah. But that's exciting though. That was a good challenge. I'm glad we had it. I know we're getting close here towards the end of time, and there have been other things we've updated that we haven't gotten to.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. We
launched. I know, right? We launched a mass bidding tool to help with like bids, and forecast bids. We launched Sonar SCI, which was fantastic. Yes. That actually is still in the beta version, but officially goes live next month. Yep. For folks to be able to get into, and that's like the ultimate benchmarking tool for contract rates. Yeah, I mean, we looked at the tactical. Yeah. Lane signal. Come on. We saw, how can I, as a broker, as a shipper, or as a logistics coordinator, how can I just make a quick decision? Bing, bada bing. Lane signal is day-to-day decision making. And then lane scorecard, just being able to bulk upload, get all that data science into a very manageable way to just say, okay, is this a good lane? Is it a bad lane? Yep. Is there price going up or down? Yep. Let's simplify the complex. At the end of the day, that's all we're trying to do. And so I think that's probably what 2020 will go down as for Sonar, is that we simplified the complex. 2019 was complex. I mean, let's be real. We were showing charts, widgets, now these out-of-the-box functions where you can now just day one get it, start applying it, and not have to really do much training. And then SCI, dude, $90 billion of contracted rate data that is proprietary to us. It must be our favorite word, proprietary to us. But that's your version of parabolic. It is proprietary. And so, but yeah, it's been a fantastic year. Awesome, love it. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. It's been a fantastic time. Please enjoy our holiday message that is coming up next, and we will see you next year. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
May the merry bells keep ringing.
Happy holiday to you.
From Luke and Kyle with Sonar.